Do you believe in invisible beings? I experienced this event about 4 years ago, in 2021. I am a young farmer. I have a large barn and animals. One evening, I was invited to a meeting. However, there were problems in the barn. When I entered the barn, I saw that the metal bars the animals ate their feed from had been broken. My farm is large, and I have all the necessary equipment. I am someone who likes to take everything and store it in my warehouse. I had a welding machine, so I immediately took it out of the warehouse and started welding the iron bars in the barn. Of course, holding the iron and welding at the same time was a bit difficult for me alone. But I couldn't find anyone to help me at that hour. As I recall, it was around 9 p.m. I finished welding. I poured water over the welded areas to prevent the animals from touching them and getting burned. At that time, there were 3 doors in my barn, one at the front, one in the middle of the building, and one where the third feeders were located. All 3 doors were open, and as I gathered my welding equipment and left the feeding trough, I saw a shadow at the first entrance door. I could have said it was a human silhouette, but I couldn't see its face, so I couldn't tell what it was. First, I called out, "Who's there?" But there was no answer. Then the shadow suddenly appeared and disappeared. I was welding at the time, so I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me and that I was experiencing an optical illusion. The storage room was directly opposite the barn. I closed the doors and put the welding machine in the storage room. Just as I was about to head home, I noticed a silhouette under the big tree in the yard. That's when I really started to get scared. This time, it wasn't an optical illusion. Someone was showing themselves to me and then disappearing. I have no enemies, and I'm very religious, so the first thing that came to mind was that it was a supernatural being. I closed my eyes out of fear and started reciting all the prayers I knew. Then I ran home. I was very scared at home and immediately called my family. My family lived about 5 miles away from my farm, so we were close by car. They told me not to panic and to pray. How could I not panic? I was too scared to even open the door. Besides me and the animals, there was no one else on the isolated, vast farm. I took a deep breath and opened the inner door of the house. As soon as I opened the door, I saw something very tall in front of the porch door. The upper part was grayish, but I couldn't see its face. According to our beliefs, the third entity's feet were facing the opposite direction. But this belief may vary. Of course, I don't know. Unfortunately, I couldn't see its feet because there was a door and a window between us, and the bottom of the window was closed, so I couldn't see. Also, as soon as I saw it, I closed the door. I called my family again and said in a tearful voice, "Please come. I'm so scared." I was really scared. I felt like my soul was leaving my body. My heart was beating faster than ever. My hands were shaking, and I was sweating. Then I decided to open the door again. I thought about opening the door, running to the farm entrance, getting in my car, and escaping. I grabbed a sharp object, as if I could do something with it. But of course, even that gave me a little confidence. When I opened the door, there was no one on the porch. I slowly put on my shoes, my mind constantly wandering elsewhere. My eyes scanned the area, afraid that something would come. Then I left the house, and as soon as I stepped outside, I started running towards the front door. At that moment, I heard the sound of the wind and a whisper, but it didn't stop me. I even closed my eyes for a moment so I wouldn't see anything. I reached the front door, got in the car, started the engine, and drove out of the gate faster than ever. I had only one thing on my mind. Whatever it was on that farm, and I could get rid of it once I left the farm. Then I made the mistake of looking in the rearview mirror. Unfortunately, sitting in the middle of the back seat, its head touching the ceiling, was a long-necked creature with no face. Yes, its face was pitch black. Nothing was visible. Unfortunately, I lost control of the steering wheel, veered off the road, and crashed. When I opened my eyes, my family had arrived. I hadn't even managed to get away from the farm. I had crashed on the side road. I told my family about the situation and what I had experienced step by step. They said it was an invisible being. In our religion, it's called a Jinn. They took me to the home of someone knowledgeable about these matters. It was around 11 p.m., quite late. The man opened the door, and his first words were, "Is it appropriate to knock on someone's door at this hour?" Then he paused, swallowed, looked at me, took my shoulder, and pulled me inside, saying, "Come right in." The man must have noticed something was wrong with me, especially because my face was deathly pale. It was very hard not to notice. He asked me if I had stepped in animal excrement. I might have. I didn't know while I was working. I hadn't paid attention. He briefly explained that these entities generally live in filth. The reason was most likely that I stepped in animal excrement while welding and poured water there. Then this man started reciting prayers to me. For about half an hour to an hour, he and I prayed in a room. He sat me down on a stool and turned a piece of paper while praying around me. Then he burned this paper. These were things I had never witnessed in my life, and they seemed absurd to me. But if someone had told me what I had experienced 2 hours earlier, that would have seemed absurd to me too. Then he told me that this invisible being might be tormenting me. I didn't even know the meaning of that word. I asked what would happen. "We will save you, or you could die," he said. For about 3 weeks, I listened to prayers almost every day at this man's house. I couldn't be alone. I couldn't go to the field by myself. My name is Barak, and I live in the Black Sea region of Turkey. Today is 2026, and unfortunately, I still can't be alone at night. I can't take a shower by myself with the door closed. If I wake up at certain times at night, I feel as if someone is whispering my name. Yes, I've gotten used to these situations. Has this problem been solved? No, it hasn't been solved. It hasn't ended, and maybe it never will. But at least, apart from the whispers and fear, it doesn't harm me. Have you ever felt a shadow pass through the door crack while sitting at home? This happens to me very often, and I think it stems from what I've experienced